Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome back to my garden. I've got this gorgeous sunny day, but boy is it cold out here. As I explained in my last video, I will be shooting a video each week to go along with my weekly gardening columns. They run in the Sunday edition of the Spokesman Review newspaper here in Spokane, Washington. But it doesn't matter where you live because you can still read them by going to my blog because I always link to them each week. Now I have to tell you, for my March 1st garden column, I had an awful lot of fun writing it because I interviewed my husband Bill to learn more about his pepper growing techniques. That is something he really enjoys doing every year. And the funny thing is, about 2 years ago, I wrote a gardening column that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it was about how he keeps trying to take over more areas of the garden, and the vegetable garden is my territory, right? Well, it turns out that about a month ago, when I polled my Facebook followers asking them what types of gardening topics they'd like to learn more about this year, one of them said, "Well, I want to learn more about how your awesome husband grows peppers." And I thought, now wait a minute, this is about me, not about him. But that's okay. So that's what I did for this week's column. And I'm really excited for you to read it. Of course, it won't be available until March 1st, but I hope that you will check it out because he has all kinds of good tips in there. What I thought I would talk about today in conjunction with the column is about keeping warm season crops warm, because that really is the secret to growing great peppers as well as tomatoes, melons, cucumbers, and winter squash. You don't really need to worry so much about summer squash, but these other crops, it makes all the difference. So I wanted to talk with you about what Bill does and what I do for the other crops to keep them warm so they produce well in a garden season. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is that Bill is a little on the bashful side. He would much rather be behind the camera than in front of it. So you're stuck with me. But a tip he wanted to pass along to you is that for starting seeds for peppers, he really likes to use a seedling heat mat. This is something you can easily find in garden centers and online. It costs about $30. They last really well. They're waterproof, so that's good. You do need some power for it. And let's say this is a flat that you're going to start your seedlings in. And so this is one that does not have holes. What you would do is set this in the bottom, and then you would have your little pony packs or cells that you're going to start your seedlings in, and you'd set them on top of the heat mat. The heat mat raises the temperature about 10 to 20 degrees above the temperature of the room where you're starting your seeds. Now you can also get thermostats and then more precisely control exactly what temperature this is. Now I haven't used a seedling heat mat for anything other than tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, but it does work really well. You get great germination using them, and that also helps the seedlings develop a nice root system. In last week's video, I mentioned how we use this little hoop house for growing salad greens during the winter months, which is what I've got in here now, and warm season crops during the summer months, and especially peppers. Boy, do they love the warmth of this hoop house. Now this is something we built ourselves about 4 years ago, and it's covered with a greenhouse grade of plastic, which is 6 mil. And it really keeps the warmth in here. And peppers really thrive on warmth. So initially, when we plant the seedlings around the 1st of May, which is a little early for this area, but we take advantage of the warmth of the hoop house, we keep the doors closed. We actually have one on each end of the hoop house. And then as it starts getting warmer and when pollinators are flying about, then we start opening the doors. And sometimes we have to close them in the evening if it's going to get cool. But otherwise, during the main part of the summer, we just have the doors propped open for the whole day. Now, I realize not everybody has a hoop house or has room for a hoop house. So I want to show you a simple solution for keeping your warm season crops warm. Using plastic mulch is an easy alternative to having a hoop house. And the concept is that by covering the surface of the bed you want to grow a warm season crop in, it will raise the temperature of the soil, which warm season crops absolutely love. Now you can find rolls of the plastic mulch at garden centers and online. It comes in different colors. So here is a red plastic tomato mulch. This is green solar mulch, which is my favorite, and it also comes in a silver mulch. The rolls are typically 3 to 4 feet wide. Now if you have a drip irrigation system or a soaker hose on your bed, that goes on the soil first before you put the plastic on. Then you pin it down so it won't blow away, and when you're ready to plant your seedlings, you cut an X through the plastic mulch, dig a little hole, plant your seedling, push the soil against the roots so that there's no air pockets. And then because your watering system is under the plastic, it's very easy for the plants to get watered. Now if you need to use overhead watering, which is less efficient, but I realize sometimes that's the only option you have, the water should go through the X's in the plastic. But I would definitely keep a close eye to make sure the soil is getting enough moisture. Now to be honest, I hate to recommend using plastic. However, if you live in a short season climate like I do, I'm in zone 5B, and you struggle getting different kinds of warm season crops to grow and produce mature fruit, this is a great alternative. Now, there's one more step we do that really keeps the crops warm, so let me show you that. You've probably been wondering what all of these white pipes are on the outsides of all of our raised beds. And they are actually supports to hold hoops that cover the bed. These are 1-inch diameter PVC pipes. They have been cut just as tall as the beds are, which is 10 inches. They've been clamped to the side with screws. And then look how easy it is to slip this old drip tubing that we've recycled into hoops into those supports. So this is going to hold floating row cover, which I'll show you in a moment. Now the reason the pipes are on the outsides of all of the raised beds is because we do crop rotation, meaning we plant different types of crops in different areas of the garden every year, and that's to prevent pest and disease problems. And so we figured if we have them on the outsides of all the beds, we'll always be able to cover a bed if we need to. Now let me show you that floating row cover. Now picture, if you will, that you already have your drip irrigation system or your soaker hose on top of this bed and nothing else is on it yet. Then you have pinned on your plastic mulch to make sure it doesn't blow away, or you've weighted it down. You've cut your X's and planted your warm season crops. The next step is to put some sort of a hoop structure over the bed, and then you're going to use floating row cover, which is this stuff. This is a woven fabric that lets sunlight and moisture through it, so if it were to rain, it would go through it just fine and water your seedlings. And what you're going to do is cover the bed with this floating row cover. Now it's pretty easy to find it in large garden centers these days, but you can also find it online. So here the bed is covered. You're going to weight down either end so it doesn't blow off in the wind. And what happens is it does a couple of things. For one thing, if it's early in the season or late in the season, floating row cover gives a few degrees of frost protection, which is awesome. But what we like to do is once we've planted our warm season crop in a bed, we cover it with the floating row cover. And between the plastic mulch and the floating row cover, it is this toasty warm environment that gets your seedlings off to a great start. And I'll show you a picture of how quickly the plants grow in just 2 weeks of having this cover system on it. Now, once the plants start to bloom, it's important for pollinators to be able to get to them, and so this is when you would remove this floating row cover. But of course, the plastic mulch will continue to keep the soil warm, and your plants should do absolutely beautifully. So now you know our secrets for keeping warm season crops warm and productive. One thing I wanted to mention is that on my YouTube channel, I have over 300 how-to garden videos, and you can go to the link that I'm going to put at the end of this video. However, I've also created playlists. So when you go to my YouTube channel, click on the playlists, and I'm putting all of the 2020 garden videos together. I also have playlists for vegetable gardening videos, one for 2019 videos, and so on. So that is a great place to find videos and also to catch up in case you miss a few. Alrighty, I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much for watching.